Every label had been cut from her clothes. Every mark that could identify her, gone. And when they found her body, it was already burning. 50 years later, forensic scientists would use a technique that didn't even exist in 1970 to find her, and they'd only get half the answer. On the morning of November 29, 1970, a father and his 2 young daughters were hiking through Isdal Woman, Ice Valley, a rugged stretch of wilderness behind Mount Ulriken, just outside Bergen, Norway. Locals sometimes called it Death Valley for the hiking accidents and old stories tied to the terrain. Off the trail, half hidden among the rocks, they found a body. It was a woman, burned almost beyond recognition, her face and hair destroyed. Around her lay strange objects, an umbrella, empty bottles with their labels scraped away, jewelry, a wristwatch. Investigators would later say the scene looked oddly deliberate, arranged, almost ceremonial. Police opened the case under the file number 13470. What they found over the following weeks only deepened the mystery. The woman had checked into hotels across Norway for months before her death, under at least 9 different aliases. Jon V. Ev Lan Ci, Claudia Tilt, Vera Jarle. Each name came with its own signature and story, and each would have required a separate forged passport, though none were ever found. Only a melted plastic cover, possibly from a passport, turned up near the body. 2 suitcases were eventually traced to a locker at the Bergen train station. Inside, wigs, disguises, foreign currency, and clothing, every tag deliberately removed. Hotel staff who remembered her described a well-dressed, reserved woman, likely in her 30s, who spoke broken English, German, and Flemish. One waitress recalled her dining beside German naval officers. A shoe store clerk remembered selling her the exact rubber boots later found at the scene, and remembered, oddly, that she smelled of garlic. An autopsy found a combination of sleeping pills and carbon monoxide in her system, possibly from a fire built beside her, not from the fire that burned her body. Investigators couldn't determine which came first, or whether she was alone when she died. This is where the case stopped being just a strange death. Bergen, at the time, was home to Norway's largest naval base, and in 1970, the base was testing a new missile system in secret at the height of the Cold War. A woman traveling under false names, watching military movement, speaking multiple languages, dining next to naval officers. It read, to many investigators, like tradecraft. Norwegian authorities officially closed the case in early 1971, ruling it most likely a suicide. She was buried in a zinc coffin in a Bergen cemetery, preserved rather than cremated, in case someone ever came forward to claim her. For over 4 decades, almost no one did. Then, in 2016, Norwegian broadcaster NRK reopened the case, working with Bergen Police and Kripos, Norway's national crime unit. New forensic tools existed now that didn't in 1970. Researchers at the University of Canberra ran isotope analysis on her preserved teeth and jaw, a technique that reads the chemical signature of the water and food a person consumed in childhood. The result? She likely grew up somewhere along the French-German border, possibly moving through Belgium or Luxembourg in her early teenage years. It was the first real clue to who she'd actually been. It also raised as many questions as it answered. In 2019, following renewed media coverage, a man in the French town of Forbach came forward, claiming he'd once known her personally, though the claim has never been definitively confirmed. And in 2023, a Swiss newspaper reported a possible connection between the case and a Geneva-based financier with ties to extremist networks, along with a claim that Norway's own intelligence service may have quietly interfered with the original investigation. None of it has closed the case. More than 50 years later, we know more about where the Isdal Woman came from than we did in 1970, and still nothing about who she was, why she came to Norway, or what actually happened to her in that valley. Her body remains preserved, still waiting for someone to come and give her back her name.